If you've ever wanted to get better at mountain biking but didn't know where to start, this video is for you. We're going to talk about 5 of the easiest and most valuable skills that you can learn on a mountain bike, and then I'll teach you how to practice each skill so that you can lock it in and build even more skills on top of it. While there are plenty of tricks and techniques to learn in the sport of mountain biking, the skills we're going to talk about today are the real MVPs when it comes to increasing your control and confidence on the bike. My name is Aaron. Welcome to Super Rider. On this channel, we break down complex bike skills into easy to learn techniques so you can quickly apply them to your riding. The number one issue that I see with riders is their comfort zone on the bike. Even if you've been riding for a while, your range of movement on the bike could still be low, and your options to manipulate the bike in different ways could be limited. That's the real focus of all 5 of today's skills, and the more you practice them, the more control and range of motion you'll develop. This is going to make a massive difference when you get back to the trails. The best part is you can take these drills with you anywhere. If you've got a few minutes at the trailhead or outside your house, you could spend those minutes practicing these skills. Over time, you'll not only master them, but you'll begin to push past the basic movement to unlock even more movement and control. Like everything, there are levels to this style of practice, and I'll do my best to give you options for each drill to push past your comfort zone. Maybe you've heard me say practice makes progress on a previous video. That's exactly how these skills and drills will help you. One other thing that I find to be extremely useful when you're practicing, use your phone to film yourself so that you can get a closer look at what you're doing on the bike. We often think that we're doing more than we actually are, and watching a video of yourself on the bike can be incredibly helpful when it comes to identifying your areas for improvement. To be more specific, when I talk about your comfort zone and being able to move the bike, I think it's important to zero in on the most important element. Each bike has a center of gravity, and understanding where this is can make a huge difference in the way that you ride your bike. This area right here is called the bottom bracket, and your body position over the bottom bracket has a huge impact on your ability to move the bike where you want it. If your body is in the wrong place, it doesn't really matter how strong you are. The bike is not going to do what you want it to do. It would be like the equivalent of standing on a ladder while trying to pick it up at the same time. Just to simplify what I mean here, if your body position is behind the bottom bracket, it's nearly impossible to get your back wheel off the ground. If your body is in front of the bottom bracket, your front wheel isn't going anywhere. So when I talk about movement and comfort zones on a bike, imagine what you could do with the bike if you were comfortable moving your body super far in either direction. As an example, the key factor in how high you can pedal up over an obstacle or even bunny hop is how far back you're comfortable getting on the bike. The best part is, you don't need to stress on any of that stuff just yet. We're going to zero in on the comfort zone expansion before we start applying it to anything as rowdy as a huge bunny hop or pedal up. One important thing I want to mention before we proceed, your hand positioning on the handlebars during these skills is going to be absolutely crucial. I recommend putting your hands as wide on the bars as you can, so you just use your index fingers for braking. Having a wide grip like this is going to give you more control, and using just one finger at the end of the brake will give you the most power. This might sound like a minor detail, but it's your main connection point to the bike, so we need to make sure that everything is dialed before we get started. Okay, that stuff is important foundation for the skills that we're going to talk about, but now it's time to dig into the actual skills and drills. Also, if you feel like you need more instruction on any of these skills, I'm going to put links in the description to the individual tutorials that I've already made for each one of these. Let's start with the front wheel lift, a skill that gets you moving on the bike and one of the lowest consequence and easiest skills to practice on flat ground. The biggest thing to remember is that we're not lifting the front wheel off the ground with our arms. We're doing something called unweighting, which means we move our body weight backward on the bike to make the front wheel extremely light. If you've ever struggled to lift the front wheel off the ground, it's most likely because your weight is ahead of the balance point on the bike, essentially weighing down the front wheel. Make sure that your hips are moving all the way behind the bottom bracket as you practice your front wheel lift. Now that you understand the basic skill of lifting the front wheel, let's practice a drill to help you develop better muscle memory with the movement. Roll along slowly and shift your body weight from the front of the bike to the back of the bike, bringing the front wheel up a little bit each time. Try to aim for 3 front wheel lifts in a row, and then keep adding to it as you get more comfortable. Repetition is key for this skill, and basically everything else we're going to practice today. If you're feeling confident with this skill and you want to push your comfort zone, we'll do a drill called wheelbase, where you hang out a little longer on the back of the bike. In this drill, you want to see if you can keep your front wheel off the ground for more than a split second, and you'll do that by sinking your body weight into the back wheel a little deeper. Make sure to cover your back brake while you're practicing this, just in case you give it a little bit too much power and start to loop out. This drill is going to help you build towards bunny hops and manuals, but just start by seeing if you can keep the front wheel off the ground for a little bit longer than usual. Next up, we'll focus on the back wheel lift. The skill we need to learn here is the motion of using our pedals to lift and move the back wheel off the ground. To do this, we'll tip our toes forward, then we'll push backwards and then up on the pedals, which creates enough pressure to lift the back wheel off the ground. I always ride with flat pedals, but even if you have clipless pedals, this can be extremely useful to learn, so you're not putting tons of stress on the mechanism in your pedals. The best part about this particular skill is that you can practice it without even riding the bike. You can stand next to your bike and try to use your pedal to scoop the back wheel in the air. Try it with each foot and then hop on the bike and do it while you roll slow on flat ground. Aside from the pedal motion, you can make this movement even easier by pushing your body weight super far forward on the bike to unweight the back wheel. The drill that will help you develop your back wheel lift is similar to what we did on the front wheel. Roll along slow and lift the back wheel off the ground 3 times in a row. You want to be able to have command with this movement 100% of the time, so you might even see how many back wheel lifts in a row you can pull off. One way that you can push your comfort zone with the skill is to extend your comfort zone over the front wheel. To do that, we're going to incorporate our front brake and do an endo. Roll along slow, grab your front brake, and bring your back wheel as high into the air as you feel comfortable. The higher up you can get it, the more range of motion you'll create for the back wheel lift, and growing that comfort zone is going to be key for a bunch of other skills down the line. Our third skill to learn and practice is all about pedal pressure. This basic skill comes in super handy on the trail when you run out of speed and need to quickly lift your front wheel, but it also helps train your brake control as well, because you have to ease off your brakes as you ease on the pedals, and then you can use your brakes again to control the bike once the front wheel is in the air. I'll say that it looks easier than it is, but if your body position is correct, you'll pick it up relatively fast. For this skill, I usually start in about 4th or 5th gear. It's hard enough that it gives me power, but it's not too heavy that I can't quickly push the pedals. Slow to a stop with both brakes, then backpedal about a quarter turn as you pull your body to the back of the bike. Once you're there, start applying pressure to the pedals as you ease off the brakes. Make sure you do it in that order, otherwise you'll just roll forward on flat ground. This one is really important to cover the back brake as you apply power, because if you push too hard and let go of the brake, well, you'll find out. The pedal pressure skill is a double whammy. It's as much about brake modulation as applying power. If you only practice one skill from today's video, please make it be this one. To build muscle memory for this, there's no special drill. I just need you to practice this skill with the intention of building control. Repeat it until you can lift your front wheel about a foot in the air and put it back down on the ground without tipping to your right or left. If you want to start pushing your comfort zone with this skill, find a ledge that's about curb height and start to time out your pedal pressure with the front wheel lift. Use it to ride up onto the obstacle from a standstill. If you really want to build up the skill, try to find something even higher than a curb to get the job done. Fourth on the list of skills is to learn the 2-wheel hop. This is sometimes called an English hop, or if you're German, the name of this technique translates to piggy hop, which I think is hilarious. This is a slightly more complex move compared to the other ones we've been doing, but the good news is that we can already use our pedal scoop that we've been practicing to get our back wheel off the ground. To do a 2-wheel hop, think of your body like a spring where you bend your elbows and knees to crouch into the center of the bike. Then pop straight up and create upward momentum with your body to lift the bike off the ground. Use that pedal scoop motion with your feet to make sure that the back wheel lifts off the ground at the same time as the front. This is different than the bunny hop technique and honestly a little bit easier to do. You can start practicing this skill by rolling slow, and rolling will help you maintain balance as you learn the basics. As you improve, try to lock up your brakes and do the exact same thing. This will isolate the skill and the movement, forcing you to use the actual hops to maintain balance. Building up your muscle memory and helping your body become efficient with this technique comes down to repetition. So start with an easy drill, rolling along slow and doing 3 hops in a row. As you land that first hop, carry the momentum back down into the bike, setting yourself up for the next hop. Do this until you can hop on command. When you feel like you've got it, slow to a stop and do 2 hops. Think about using those hops to rebalance yourself. If you want to push your comfort zone with the skill, roll to a stop, lock your brakes, and see how many hops you can do in a row before you have to put your foot down. Keep that number in mind and try to break that number every single time you practice. You'll be surprised how much easier it gets over the course of a few sessions. Your body gets more efficient with the movement and the technique, and all of a sudden you go from a few hops to a bunch of hops. If this still feels easy, try the inchworm drill where you hop forward just a little bit at a time. And if that feels easy, take it to a small hill and try to use some small forward hops to climb up the hill. Our fifth and final skill to learn is the standing wheelie. Most people are too embarrassed to practice this one in public since it's not always considered good style to do standing wheelies. But the benefits far outweigh the drawbacks on this one. Standing wheelies are the basics for climbing up and over obstacles on the trail, and they're also a great way to develop your comfort zone over the back wheel. I've got a full video on this skill on the channel as well as a wheelie tutorial, so if you want to go deep on this skill, I've got plenty more to help you out. The thing to practice with this skill is the initial lift off of the front wheel. I'm not advocating for you to stand up wheelie across an entire parking lot here. We just need to get one full rotation to get your front wheel in the air. Start with your opposite foot forward and put your chest over the handlebars. As you push down on the pedal, lean your shoulders and hips back. The combination of those two things should lift your front wheel off the ground easily. And as you pedal, your strong foot will come around to the top of the pedal stroke. This puts you in the most stable position possible on the back wheel, and from here, you'll be in a good place to ride up and onto obstacles. The drill that I love for this skill is called wheelbase, and it starts with the same movement where we pedal up onto our back wheel. Once you get there, try to see how long you can hold that front wheel off the ground. The drill is called wheelbase, so a great goal for this one is to get your back wheel to the spot where your front wheel took off. This is an excellent way to develop confidence on the back wheel, which will help you in a variety of different ways. If you want to push your comfort zone with the skill, you can add in something called pedal timing to the skill. What this means is that you time out your front wheel lift and pedal rotation as you approach a small obstacle. For example, I usually start my pedal rotation and front wheel lift the same distance from an obstacle as the height of the obstacle. This takes a fair bit of practice to work out, but that's what small obstacles like curbs are for. Practice it first in mellow places and small obstacles before you need to put it to use on the trail, and then you'll be good to go when the time arises to make it happen. All 5 of the skills we talked about today are going to give you a big boost of control and confidence on the bike, but they won't work unless you do. Practice makes progress, and the more time you put into these 5, the better results you'll get. Don't be surprised if you don't nail these skills on the first try, but just know that with a little practice, each one gets easier and easier. If you're going to have 5 skills locked in on command, these are the ones to have, and they're well within your ability to learn. You got this.